Yeah, today I'm going to talk about colorism and swirling and divestment. I want to talk about them together. Um, I think a bit of what I was talking about in the past two videos has a lot to do with colorism. And, this is the part of divestment that I don't agree with. Really? I am the type that agrees with this. I like to talk about the fact that I prefer, white men. I'm a swirler. I'm attracted to white men and Hispanic men. I've dated white men and mixed men. And when I say mixed men, I mean like mixed with Hispanic or Hispanic descent. Never mixed with black. Unless we're talking about like Puerto Rican and Colombian, and then sometimes I assume maybe he had like 10 to 20% black in him if he's Puerto Rican, even though he's blonde, blue eyed, and the other one maybe he was like 10%, because Colombians have a good amount of black in them. They're usually like 10% black, so things like that. But you get what I'm saying, not directly mixed with black, basically. Anyway, so I talk about that. But the thing is, what I don't like about divestment and swears is the impetus, basically, to be a swirler, to be a divested person, basically. It's more my issue. Like, for me, I'm naturally just attracted to people of the opposite sex who happen to not be the same race as me. I've mainly dated men who were just not the same race as me. Basically, all the men I've dated were not the same race as me. Unless we're counting, like I said, if we're counting people who are 10, 20% black or whatever. But you get what I'm saying. Basically, nobody was even close to as black as I am. And I'm 53% black. So, I mean, nobody's been close to that. Not 30, 40, 50, none of that. But the thing is, people always act like the reason people swirl or are divested has to do with like bad relationships. People talk about struggle of, people talk about bad um, situations where they end up like a single mom. They talk about colorism, basically. Um, Black men treated them poorly or basically didn't want them. This is a major thing, is basically didn't want them or, treated them badly. Those are the main things you always hear on divested channels and channels that talk against them. They both talk about it, they just say it in different ways, with different language. Especially the channels that talk about colorism. They definitely always seem to talk a lot about, rejection and all those things. It's like, from my perspective, it's annoying. Because it's like, if that's what you're saying, why you're swirling and divesting, maybe you shouldn't swirl or divest if it's really because of what black men wanted you to do or how black men treated you. Maybe you need to look into how you choose your men rather than actually try to choose another race of men and expect different results, as if, you can't. Why don't you consider what behavior got you to be with a man who was of low quality? Why couldn't you just figure out, personality wise, you need a man who fits the certain requirements that you are needing? And race aside, you just need a man that fits those requirements. Now, I'm not saying that you can't swirl or divest, but I just think doing away with black men and then also attacking black men and also being like so hateful to black men in the process is like a symptom. And so then it's like, to me, I feel like you're not actually following the cause of the problem. Instead, you're focused on what bothered you rather than what got you there in the first place, which I feel like is really not going to fix your problem. So to me, that's a major thing to me. It's just like I'm not saying that you should go with black men. I'm not. I think that you should go with whoever, but more so than anything, I think you should focus on the personality that went wrong and what got you to choose such a person, basically, and how to basically do better. Not always, though. Like I said, in some cases, people have the other idea, that people were, like, rejected, by black men. And with colorism, that's all it is, basically. It's basically said that they're a reject because of their skin tone, which is nonsense, in my opinion, and that black men don't want them, and therefore they swirl. And that's what I mean with the whole thing of being a swirler or divested. That's what bothers me. Is that people who write this narrative of colorism or bad relationships kind of come with two things. Like that, for one, the automatic idea that we all have some attraction or interest in black men, and therefore we just find the wrong black men, and then we just move on to someone else because we got men who were, I guess, not to their standards, you know what I mean? And then the other situation where they're basically rejected by black men. And so to me, it's like, as a black woman who is a swirler, it's insulting to have these platforms imply this is what happens to black women who are swirlers, because it's like many of us never gave black men a chance because we were never attracted to them in the first place, and therefore it wasn't a right fit for us. That doesn't mean anything against black men. I'm not trying to talk against black men. What I'm trying to say is that some people are just not attracted to certain people of certain phenotypes, you know what I mean? And certain races and things of that nature. And, that doesn't have to do with being basically hurt by black people or black men, or, giving black men a chance, in a relationship. If you're not attracted to someone, you probably won't go in a relationship with them. You probably won't have sex with them. You probably won't date them. You probably won't have a sexual thought that comes through your mind involving that person, And, when people act like, they're rejected, that still comes under the idea that, like, they are under the pretense that black women are attracted to black men. Like, black women are naturally mammies, basically. All of us are naturally mammies just by being black by default, which is untrue too, because not all of us are attracted to black men. So, I mean, we can't all be mammies if we're not attracted to them. So, I mean, some of us, it just doesn't apply, And then on top of it, it's just like, this whole mentality creates a whole idea, and if you listen to them, a lot of what they say talks about what the black man wants. And it's like, why do you focus on what the black man wants? Because when you do that, that's where the whole hate against white women, Asian women, Hispanic women, calling them names like Becky, Mylene, and Maria come from. Because they're focused so much on what the black man wants, And it's always like, to me, from my perspective, it's always been, like, they talk a lot about, in colorism and colorism crybabies, they talk a lot about how, they think is based on what the black man wants, but they never really consider, what does a woman want, a black woman want, a mixed woman wants, a white woman wants, for that matter. What do women want, basically? It's all based on the man, and, to be interested to make something happen out of that, two people have to agree to it. Yet colorism crybabies have such a low self-esteem, it seems like. All they care about is who wants them, so they extrapolate that to every other woman as if we're all low self-esteem. And we all basically just go off of who wants us, kind of thing. Because We don't have enough of a self-esteem to have standards, basically, and to actually not care if somebody wants us, but rather, what if we want them, kind of thing. And that's mainly what bothers me with divested sectors sometimes that focus so much on the black man. Like, if we're divested, please stop focusing on a black man that you don't want. If you're really divested, you don't want black men. If you're really a swirler, you don't want black men. I know, because I'm a divested swirler, and I've never wanted a black man. Even before I was divested, I was a swirler. I've always been a swirler, and I didn't want black men. Never wanted black men. And when you don't want black men, you don't care what they want. You don't care who they're dating. That doesn't concern you. Other than, please don't have any interest in me. No harassment, things like that. That you don't care how they even treat other women. You don't want them to abuse them or anything. But I mean, it's not going to pertain to you, because you wouldn't have a clue how they treat anyone, because you've never been in a relationship with them. So that's why I mean, if you're not interested in black men and you're genuinely not interested, you don't care what their relationships look like. You don't care, what they like. You don't care about that. All you care about is being left alone. All you want is not to be harassed. All you want is them not to be, trying to intimidate you because you're not interested in them. Those things, but not based in, a mentality of such obsession over what he wants and how he rejected you, how you were hurt. Like, if you were hurt, he mattered to you. And then that's what I mean. Many divested and swirler so-called channels basically make black men more important than they need to be. I mean, if you are really a swirler, why is he so important to you? Why is his women so important to you? Because you're not really a divested swirler, are you? You're just a person who's doing it because you are hurt, doing it because you're rejected. And you make all the divested and swirler people look bad, because when you do that, you make us look like we're rejected. We're, hurt. We have baggage and things like that. When we've never dated black men, when we've never been interested in black men, to be rejected by them to be in the first place. Many of us have actually dealt with more harassment, more issues of trying to get away from black men who, have interest, but you have no interest in them. Because those are the worst situations to be in. The worst situation to be in is to be in a situation where the man is interested in you, but you're not interested in him, because it can turn into a dangerous situation. It can really turn into a very dangerous situation. And many of the time, these people never understand this, because they're too easy, and they're too desperate, and they're too insecure about their whole predicament, basically. And, since they're rejected and they're hurt and things of that nature, they come from this perspective where they don't understand that. They don't understand that perspective of actually being harassed and having no interest whatsoever in men that keep bothering you. So, I mean, I just feel like with that whole sector of YouTube, sometimes the fake divestors who will constantly focus on black men, to me, make me feel like, you're making the rest of us just look bad. So that's all I have to say on that. It's a bad image, and I don't appreciate it. And I'm done with this video. Thanks for watching. I'll do one more edited video. Thank you. Bye.